publisher of Chicagoland Golf Magazine, Phil Kosin. The show where for the next 2 hours, you'll get the latest info from the PGA Tour, local tournaments, and tips for your golf game. And now, your host, Phil Kosin on 670 The Score.
Thank you, boys. You know, Dave, this polka was pressed in vinyl just this week. This is a brand new song. It's by our old friends Rich Yakubchak and the Electras. It's the Green Jacket Polka.
I was going to say, what's the name of the polka this week?
The Green Jacket Polka.
Appropriate.
I like it because it has... You know, it's different. You know, some people say, polkas, they all sound the same. And when you have them at a Polish wedding, everybody's been visiting the bar and you don't even listen to the music. You just go out there and jump around and stamp your feet and sweat. You know, and that is a lot of what goes on at a Polish wedding. But this one was written especially for this show. And there it is, folks. The Green Jacket Polka, available everywhere. Everywhere vinyl records are sold.
From K-Tel Records, right?
Yeah. Happy Easter to everyone, and to you, NASCAR Dave.
Thank you, and to you, sir.
What is NASCAR doing for Easter weekend to observe it? They'll say a prayer before they go out?
Well, actually, they're not. The Sprint Cup Series is not racing on Easter. The Nationwide Series is in Nashville today.
Oh.
But the Sprint Cup guys are taking the week off.
Is Easter something they stay away from?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's nice.
Traditionally, it is, yes.
Well, that thing started in the South, and I'm sure all those people were Southern Baptists and extremely religious.
There are 2 days they absolutely do not race. One is Easter Sunday, and then the other is Mother's Day.
Well, anyway, the Heathens down at the Augusta National, they're going to go ahead with their golf tournament this weekend, Easter or not. Have you had a chance to watch any of it?
Unfortunately, I haven't because, I keep my daughter during the day, and, she's not real patient with golf. She needs to be cultured a little bit more into it.
Well, she's not patient with golf. She'd have loved watching it Thursday. A lot of the players, and this is one of those places where you're invited and you want to make sure you get to come back the next year. You don't ever really hear the players complain too much about the golf course, or they'll do it in a diplomatic way. But Tiger had to be going nuts on Thursday, and this is, nobody wrote this. I mean, unless my time is off, he teed off at 1:52 Eastern time, which is 12:52 Chicago time, and he finished at 7:15 Chicago time, which is 6 hours and 23 minutes for a threesome to play that golf course. He was in the second to the last group on Thursday. It's
ridiculous, I believe, is the word you're looking for.
Well, the Augusta National has this thing on their website. It's, write in with ideas to grow the game. I don't even know what happened to that last year, if they got any ideas, but, I gave them one in a column, and it was speed things up and show people that you can't play 6 hours and 23 minutes with a threesome. And it wasn't them, it was everybody in front of them. And yesterday it was about as bad because guys are taking extra time over their extra time on shots, trying to make the cut. So, for what that's worth. It's interesting how the course played. It played pretty easy. It was docile. It was welcoming birdies and eagles on Thursday. There was no wind. And the pins were all put, or for the most part, were put in some accessible places. Yesterday, I think the greens were not as soft, and the wind blew yesterday. And the problem with that golf course, and we'll talk about this with our first guest, Bob Verdi, because he's down there in Augusta. The problem with that is they don't have a middle set of tees at the National like they do at just about every golf course I can think of where there's been a tournament. You have one set of tees way back that the members just look at. And those are the ones they use for the Masters. And, of course, there's a tee box, it may be 15, 20 yards long. And then there's one way up front that the members play off of, and that's it. And where you'd really like to, on some of the par fives, set up the hole to play at a yardage between those two instead of all the way back, playing it into the wind, there is no tee box that you could use. So you're stuck with those back tees. So anyway, let's take a break, and then we'll bring Bob Verdi right in because Bob is waiting. This is the Chicagoland Golf Show. It's Masters weekend. You're listening to The Score, Sports Radio 670, CBS Radio, Chicago. We don't have any live cuts this morning, I don't think, from the Masters, do we, Dave?
No, we don't. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll do one. This is Tiger Woods to his caddy where it's quiet. I can't believe it took us 6 hours and 23 minutes to play that golf course on Thursday. That's ridiculous. What are these guys ahead of me doing? How's that, Bob Verdi? Did that kind of sum it up?
Very good.
Nobody wrote about that.
Well, there's this little thing about it here in the Augusta paper.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, it's about DJ Trahan lying down in the fairway. I think he took a little nap there at 15, was it? I didn't see it. I'm just...
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way, for your... how many years now?
Ooh, 16.
Oh, I listened to you as a kid, you know.
Well, I remember you taking over from my friend Dave Congdon.
Oh, wow.
When the Tribune still had something that resembled In the Wake of the News.
That is a long time ago.
Well, Dave was one of my favorite people.
He was a good man.
He taught me a lot of things that a sports writer needs to know, and let's just leave it at that.
He's a good man.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question for you. You know, it was easy for all of us to see that the golf course, the wind was quiet on Thursday, and there was some scoring going on, and there were some roars, and it was like what most of us have been writing the last few years. This is the way it should be. It should be like this, hopefully, on Sunday. Then I do some reading on the internet, and one of your former colleagues at the Tribune, Gene Wojciechowski, how do you like that pronunciation? Gene Wojciechowski, who writes for, ESPN.com?
Spell it.
Wojciechowski.
You have it in front of you.
Actually, no, I don't. I played softball. I knew a guy that was called, his name was Ed Zhezhepchikowski on our softball team, and the guy that made up the jerseys and charged, by the letter to put your name on the back. But his nickname was Long, and people would say, why do they call you Long? And then he could say, they call me Long for short. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, Gene writes, after Thursday's round, the roars returned to the Masters on Thursday and not a nanosecond too soon. For once, it was nice to listen to something other than whining and complaining from those who wrongly think this course and this tournament have been lobotomized. Well, okay, then I guess I'm wrong. How about you?
I don't know. I mean, I see no crime in what they did on Thursday. I mean, the word was that it was going to be set up for scoring, as they say down here. And it was, and the weather cooperated. And yesterday the wind blew a little bit, and it wasn't quite as accommodating. And then last night, about 11 o'clock, Phil, we had a big storm, and I mean big. Golf balls falling on the ground here from the sky, hail, winds, tornado warnings. I don't know what it'll do to the golf course today. Probably nothing with the giant mechanism they have to remove moisture, but I see no, I know the players, if Mickelson looked like he shot 80 on Thursday night because he knew it was there for to be had. And then, of course, yesterday on a much tougher day, playing in the afternoon with the wind swirling, he shoots a much better round. But that's Phil, you know.
If you're just joining us this morning, our guest on the Chicagoland Golf Show is our old friend Bob Verdi from Golf World, Golf Digest, the Chicago Tribune, and the Verdi Speakers Bureau, where he now gets, after he got the PGA of America's Lifetime Achievement Award, and they put him in the Illinois Golf Hall of Fame. I think you're up to 50 large per speaking engagement. Is that correct? 50 large and the limo to pick you up and drop you off.
I'd just take the limo.
No, I think what Woj is trying to say here, though, is he said that all of us that wrote, and, you know, I wrote it, everybody wrote it, that the last 2 years Sunday seemed more like a U.S. Open. That's exactly what it was.
Well, I don't disagree with that. You know, look, when Jack shot 30 here in 86 and won the, won on Sunday, I didn't hear anybody saying, well, that was great, but it was too easy. It was set up too easy. So, I think, believe it or not, the Green Jackets are sensitive to criticism, and I think that they like to have their tournament be distinctive. And I think when you hear the roars and when you see fireworks, particularly on the back nine and particularly on Sunday, that it just adds to the aura of the tournament. So I think they're aware of that. But I also think that, the last 2 years has been a lot of weather problems, too.
I think and I agree. I think one of the problems, though, is the way the course, it's not so much the way it's designed, but they only have 2 sets of tees there. They have, as I was saying before we came on the air, they have 1 set of tees that they use for the Masters, and that's way back, and the members just kind of look over there and they wave at them. And then the members' tees are way down in front. And on a day where you've got to be able to adjust your golf course. Trust me, I've done this before. You've got to be able to adjust and have flexibility in your golf course so that when you do get a big rain or you're going to get wind, you can move up the tees a little bit on a par 5. Now, on 13 and 15, there's no way they're going to let them play from the members' tees. They would eat those holes up. You'd like to have a tee between those 2 sets of tees to go to, and they don't have it. And that's one of the problems at Augusta National, is that there's no middle ground on setting up the length on that golf course in the event of weather weather, rain, wind.
I don't even know how the members play this course, except that the greens can't be what they are during the tournament. The other 51 weeks, well, they aren't open all year, of course, but I don't know how you're, especially, there are a few, shall we say, senior members of the club, and I don't know how you get around this place.
Well, the secret to that place is the greens, and it got a hell of a lot tougher when they pulled the Bermuda out years ago, and they put in bent grass, which could be cut a lot shorter and doesn't grow as quickly during the day and doesn't, sorry, Johnny Miller, but it doesn't have any grain to it. And, the slopes and everything on that golf course were not designed. They were designed for drainage. They've kept them as kind of as a historical thing because that is the golf course, but they were not designed for bent grass to be shaved like they do now for these tournaments the last 15 or 20 years.
Well, that's one thing, Phil, that you never see on TV is the undulations on the greens and the wild breaks. I mean, it's easy to do what happened here yesterday. If you're a kid like McIlroy and you floor putt a green and you come away from it thinking, what did I do wrong? It helps to be experienced out here for sure on these greens, because you just don't see it on television what a test they are.
Well, that's what makes Fuzzy Zeller's accomplishment 30 years ago so marvelous, is that he won the first time out, and it's very hard to do.
It sure is. It's hard to win any time out, but I was looking at some of the old Masters clips the other night, the classic channels and all that, and It didn't look as they didn't look as slick then as they are now. That's for sure, and I'm sure they weren't. But of course, the ball didn't go as far either. But you watch the putting and the putting styles. It's almost a different game.
Well, one of the players once told me that the fairways. Wait, let me think. He told me that the fairways at Augusta National today play like the greens played 20 years ago.
Yeah, there you go. Because if you look at the, they zero in on these, the George Archer's victory and the Tommy Aaron's, and you're looking at the greens and thinking, gee whiz, there's a lot of growth there, and they do look. It's black and white probably. I don't remember, but it does look like what the fairways look like now. But that's all part of the evolution of the game, I suppose. And there's another story in the Wall Street Journal this morning about how the Jack had rivals and Tiger doesn't. And I don't know. That argument could go forever. I personally think that it's a little deeper out here now than it used to be, as far as number of quality players. I think that golf is the only sport that we know where the talent pool is getting deeper rather than thinner, and all you have to do is look at the Major League box scores yesterday, where some of the number 3 pitchers on these rotations, these so-called rotations, went to the mound. And I mean, we're old enough, Phil, to remember when even the worst teams had 3 or 4 men rotations, where you could, and that's a long way of saying that I think that through expansion and everything, other sports have gotten more diluted, but with the international contingent getting better and bigger in golf and the college kids, I think there's more quality out here than ever, but you probably don't agree with me.
I think the golf ball has really been a big equalizer, the fact that the ball doesn't move as much off the club. And so, therefore, Tiger doesn't have one rival, but the golf ball and the equipment has been such an equalizer. And, of course, the setup of these golf courses that his rival is whoever's hot that week. And 2 weeks ago at Bay Hill, it was Sean O'Hare. Last year it was, of all people in the U.S. Open, Rocco Mediate, And so I don't think you're going to ever have, like, Player, Palmer, Watson, and Nicklaus all, and then Seve beating each other's brains out. I think it's going to be a lot of different names instead of just those same names repeating themselves. Our guest on this portion of the show at 6:22 is Bob Verdi, Golf World, Golf Digest. Bob, you mentioned George Archer's name. I saw an item this week, I don't know if you saw it, where his wife was talking about him, and it turns out she finally told the world that he was illiterate. Did you see that?
I did see something about that in the local paper. Very interesting.
I think we've all interviewed George and had conversations with him. I remember the late Gene Seymour from Copley Papers. And George, he was always going to George for tips because he was approximately George's height.
Yeah.
And he was, trying to get some things straightened out in his swing. And he would go to George. And I heard George accept checks and speak at press conferences. But I guess he really had difficulty reading, and I don't understand how someone can get that far, especially in a business like golf where you can't even, you don't read that well.
That is interesting. I think I remember seeing something like that in the paper here. I know you've seen the Augusta Chronicle during Masters Week, and it's shall we say, comprehensive.
Well, they have a writer there. What's his name? Scott Mitchaw? Is that how it's pronounced?
Michaud, yeah.
Michaud, yeah. He does a really good job.
You were talking about this. I talked to Dr. Bob Rotella the other day, the famous sports psychologist, and we were talking about then and now, and he mentioned, he said, Ben Hogan was, canonized for his practice routine and his work ethic many years ago. And, they're just running the tape of Soriano messing up that fly ball in left field. Anyway, and he was saying, look at the guys now. They all work as hard as Ben Hogan used to work. And I found that interesting because Rotella spent some time with Hogan and picked his brain, and it's true. I mean, these guys now, when the round is over, they don't go to the very few of them go inside for a cocktail. They go back to the range.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why I don't think Vijay Singh sells a lot of equipment. I think it's been very much publicized to golfers who are readers and follow the game that he practices so much. So nobody really attributes his success to his equipment. They attribute his success, and rightfully so, to all the practice time that he puts in.
Yeah, although, now that he's getting older and his parts are wearing out, as we can all identify with that, he's not practicing quite as much. He's had the knee problems on the back and the elbow, so he's condensed his routine a little bit. But he was at one point the marathon man, but now there are others out there who are hanging with him on the range.
Yeah, well, he may have to play for a few more years than he originally planned, because from what I hear, he had a lot of money invested. What is that, Stanford?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I had heard two versions of that. One that he put no money in. I know Stenson got burned a little bit. He's gonna have to play a little longer, probably too. I don't know anybody that invested with Mr. Madoff. But there's some stories going around about people who have been directly or indirectly burned. See, it's great when you have no money, Phil. Like me, you don't have to worry about things like that.
You don't have to tell me about that. We've got a refrigerator full of government cheese here, Bob. Would you like some?
Is it better than the pimento?
You know what? If you look on our website and if you look in Chicagoland Golf, anybody that's listening, you've heard about the famous Augusta National pimento and cheese sandwiches. Well, I've got a recipe in there, and I've had those sandwiches, and this recipe has been tried and tested in our test kitchens at Chicagoland Golf, and if it's not right on, it's pretty darn close. Bob, let me take a break. It's 6:26 in Chicago. We're visiting on a Masters weekend and Holy Saturday. Happy Easter, everyone, with Bob Verdi of Golf World, Golf Digest, and the Chicago Tribune. I'm Phil Kosin. This is the Chicagoland Golf Show, and you're listening to The Score, Sports Radio 670, CBS Radio, Chicago. In Chicago. Let's go through the lineup for you. I'm Phil Kosin. NASCAR Dave White's back at our studios in the NBC Tower in Chicago, making sure this program gets to the transmitter and then to you. Bob Verdi is all the way down in Augusta, Georgia, staying in the lap of luxury down there and stuffing his face with those pimento and cheese sandwiches. And I'm sure there's no lines for any of that or to get into the tent where you buy all the merchandise, Bob.
I'll tell you
Later on in the show, I've got an old friend of yours coming on after 7 o'clock, Bob, Emil Esposito. What's your favorite Emil story?
Oh, wow.
There's a book there.
Are we on the air?
Yes, we are.
No, he's a great fellow. He tried to straighten out my chipping problems many years ago and failed. And I think then they moved on to a different type of alcohol. I don't know. No, he's a great fellow, and say hi to Emil. And you're right about the golf shop here. It's recession-proof. I'll tell you, the golf shop here could bail out all the banks all the automobile companies. It's incredible. What they, of course, we'll never know what they. We'll never see the books on the Augusta National Golf Shop, which is, you can't call it a souvenir stand because that would be slang, but it's unbelievable. People just line up there and come away with bags full of merchandise.
One of the times when I was down there, I was in that store and I got in the wrong line. The man in front of me, he had some help with him. He was from Japan.
Oh, yeah.
And he bought $28,000 worth of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was going back to Japan to be resold. But it's a feeding frenzy in there, and the recession does not apply inside the gates over there at that place.
I was also behind a gentleman who I don't believe spoke English a couple of years ago, and he had many baskets full of stuff, and he just took out his wallet and his wad and gave it to the cashier as if to say, just take what you need, because he couldn't, he didn't understand exactly what bought what, how much you needed to buy. So he just turned over his portfolio there, and she took what she needed. But it's incredible. This year they've got when the line really gets long, and snakes out toward the first fairway, Phil, they've got a guy now. I saw a guy the other day with a sign and the estimated waiting time to get
really.
Yeah, it's like waiting time, and of course they have movable numbers. And this guy was standing there just with a sign in his hand, like a stop sign, and it said estimated time, waiting time, 12 minutes. So they don't miss a thing here.
Well, that's the home of the green light special, isn't it?
Oh, wow.
I believe that in the last few years, and of course this is ramped up. I remember back, when was it? 93 at Inverness for the PGA when Norman beat Paul Azinger in a playoff. I remember that the PGA Pro at Inverness still had the logos, and they didn't have the major 50,000 square foot tent like they have today. And they actually gave the media a discount on Tuesday, but everything was being sold right in his pro shop and in a little tent outside. And now we've gone to where at a U.S. Open and a PGA Championship, but let's just center on a U.S. Open, they'll do $16 million in that tent for the week. And I'm going to bet it's 3 times that at the Augusta National.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't doubt it. It's an incredible. Yet you can still get a beer for $2.75. Not that I would know, but it's $10 at the New Yankee Stadium, right? And you can still get a beer and a sandwich here, and put down a $5 bill and get change. So.
The sandwiches, are they still $1.50?
Depend what sandwich you want, yeah.
I think the cheese sandwiches were still $1.50 the last time I was there.
yeah. I want to say that, and I wouldn't know what, it's been a while since I've had one. But, no, the prices are very reasonable. There are no discounts, however, for the press or anybody else, but it doesn't have to be, although the veterans here say that, the crowds are down a little bit. You see some empty rows in the bleachers now in the grandstands. And they said the traffic, the touchdowns and the takeoffs at the private airport, the private jets, they're down a little, significantly actually because of the economy. But I don't think they're going to be looking for bailouts here.
Well, we ran a story on the front page of our issue this week, our preview issue of the Masters, and that's exactly what it was about. It was a story, I think, off the Associated Press wire, but it actually could have been something out of the Wall Street Journal. That's what it read like, and it talked about all the corporate hospitality that isn't going to be this year. I guess the lady that rents the houses. Now, folks, I hope you're sitting. Normally, you can rent a house for a week. I think it's 8 days down there. It's up to you what you do with it, whether you have parties in it or you stuff as many people in it as possible to sleep and stay there. But the cheapest house she had of 400 houses was $25,000 for 8 days, and it went all the way up to $250,000. And she said normally she sold out by the 1st of September the year previous. And this year she went into this week with over 100 vacancies, and she was discounting some of the $25,000 houses down to about $16,000 just to get them to move. So they have felt it down there, but certainly not at the golf course.
I've also heard that the business for the practice rounds, the badges or tickets, was much more active than in the past, and not so brisk for the tournament badges Thursday through Sunday. The reason being, of course, is the practice rounds are a little cheaper. So I don't know if that's true either. I know as you drive up Washington Road toward the golf course, there are a lot of people hanging out there on the curbs with signs and with their fingers out, one, I need 2, buy and sell, and what the amounts are involved, I don't know, except that I just hear that the business is down, but the tournament is going to make money. I think they'll probably turn a slight profit, don't you, Phil?
Well, those guys out front, that's where I bought my watch, Bob.
Really?
Yeah,
where is that watch now?
Well, I'm wearing it.
Really?
Let me give our listeners a time. It's 20 minutes to 12.
Well, it's right twice a day if it breaks, right?
Yeah.
The sun is out, by the way, here.
Well, good. You know what? And my guess would be that everything will start on time, and you won't even know it rained there last night. I think they hire a designer to come in and arrange the pine cones underneath the trees on top of the pine straw. It's that good looking. And when Nick Faldo yesterday said that the greens look like silk, that's the truth, folks. It looks artificial if you've ever had the chance to be there.
And a very interesting, Tiger goes off today like an hour and a half before the leaders, Campbell and Perry and that gang. So he's got a chance to give him a scare. If he goes off and starts something, has a little run, I'm sure it will reverberate around the golf course. And maybe they'll be able to play in less than 5.5 hours today.
Well, I don't think it's impossible for Tiger, especially the way some of these guys now that are going to think about it will come back to him. I would take 8 under right now, Bob, and sit on it till Sunday night. How about you?
That's interesting because, Campbell is you're talking about pedigree now. Campbell is a very streaky player, and I don't know if he frightens too easily. Kenny Perry's been around forever. I think he certainly respects Tiger. Whether he would be looking over his shoulder, I don't know. But the weather is supposed to be pretty good this weekend. Warm, not too windy. I think the storms are all out of here. So I guess you're saying that you think that 8 would win it?
I think the last thing they want, as much as they'd like to hear the roars and everything on Sunday, I think the last thing they want is somebody to win double figures under par.
Well, you're probably right. But there's some pretty good, Cabrera, we've seen what he can do when he gets going, and Anthony Kim, fairly fearless again, I would say. Furyk's a steady veteran. Sergio, maybe it's his time. You never know.
And let's talk about some of those who learned their lesson. I guess Danny Quinn is now going to turn pro after he missed the cut and did so badly.
Yeah.
what was he, about third off the bottom? If it wasn't for Gary Player and Fuzzy Zeller and a couple of other guys, Ben Crenshaw, he would have been on the bottom of the field. And
you're talking about Lee?
Yeah, Danny Lee.
Yeah. Well,
the Western Amateur and the U.S. Amateur champ.
Right, he had a nice 34 on the front yesterday, and then he took 9 on the 10th hole, a 9. And then he had a couple 6s, and he wound up with 47 on the back.
How many times, I know how many in my life, the number is 7. How many times in your life did you get off of a hole and one of your playing partners said, you know, actually, if you think about it, that was a good 9.
You play with the same kind of smart-ass Alex that I do.
Yeah, well.
How did the Gary Player fuzzy thing come off on TV? I'm sure they did a nice job with it.
Yeah, they fawned all over him, but, you know, I just can't believe that Gary Player is going to hang it up. He's going to get that itch next year and think, well, you know what, I might as well, if I'm going to go there, I might as well play. I don't believe that this, I think this is like a Michael Jordan retirement.
Oh, wow.
Or Brett Favre. Well,
maybe, but he sounded like he was pretty firm in that, and he did shoot 83. I know the guys who played with him, Stephen Ames and Chicago's own Luke Donald, didn't know what to expect, but they both came off saying it was a treat, because Gary's got stories and he can regale you with all sorts of information, and I think, that is one thing about this tournament. It's very unique. You can have Gary Player in one group playing his 52nd Masters, and then you can have a 39-year-old gas station owner, Steve Wilson, an amateur, playing in another. It's very eclectic.
Yeah, well, my fondest memory of Gary Player was in the locker room at Stonebridge during the Cisco and Ameritech Senior Open. He showed up there one year. Somehow, I'm sure they got him an appearance fee or something for speaking at a dinner. But I don't think he was really well liked by a lot of other players. I remember him walking into the locker room, and everybody else is down there showering and getting changed and everything after a round. And Gary looked around and said something about, like, look at all your lard bellies, can you still do this? And I'm 70 years old. And he jumped on the floor and started doing one-handed push-ups. And, of course, everybody there, they were all carrying a few extra pounds, and they're all looking at him and rolling their eyes like, get out of here, So I'm not sure how popular he was, at least at that level of his career, with his colleagues.
Well, he definitely has that fitness fetish, and he's been known to talk to children that way. A father will come up to him for an autograph with his child, and the father will say, oh, Gary, I've watched you for all these years, and you're an inspiration, and I saw you win the Masters, and blah, blah, blah. And then player will turn to the father and then look at the son and says, your son is too fat.
Yeah.
You must stop eating. Your son must stop eating that junk food. He's too fat. That's a problem with obesity. And of course, this happens,
He did it in the press room.
To us? Yeah.
He's done that in the press room where everybody's grazing at the buffet.
Talking to us, that's like target practice, but just out of the blue, he'll pick a kid out of the he'll pick out a kid out of the gallery who's a little portly and just go over to him and say, young man, you're going to get a heart murmur because you're too fat. And, of course, the poor kid just looks at him like he's crazy, and then he goes and buys an ice cream.
Now the kid says, why don't you get a cap instead of that truck driver hat? A final word, Bob. I got 1 minute.
Don't ask me who's going to win. Don't ask me. Don't ask me who's going to win, because I don't know. You ask me that every year, and I'm always wrong.
I'll pick somebody. I'm not going to hold you to it.
Wouldn't it be crazy if Todd Hamilton, Illinois' own, and nobody thought he'd hang in at the British Open, and he beat Ernie Els in talk about no pressure. Because who would expected Todd Hamilton maybe to make the cut? And he's right.
Well, there may be some pressure on Todd Hamilton because this is the last year of his exemption.
Right.
Yeah.
But
hey, Bob, go ahead.
Go ahead. Am I done? Is it?
Yeah, we're done.
I didn't hear the bell.
Thank you. Oh.
Okay.
Thanks again, as always, and have fun out there, will you? I think everybody that's going to be eating Easter dinner tomorrow will think of you, knowing you're out there having a good time walking on that beautiful golf course in the sunshine and watching guys play golf.
And having a pimento for Easter supper. Thank you.
Right, and thinking about having a beer.
Yep, you got that right. Take care, and congratulations again for your 58th year on the air.
Thank you. Ever since Ed Murrow turned it over to me here.
Take care.
All right, Bobby. That's Bob Verdi of the Chicago Tribune and Golf World and Golf Digest, an old friend, and he's down at the Augusta National, as you can tell. And it's always great to hear from him during a major. Try to either get him on during a major or as a follow-up to a major. Use Gary Van Sickle like that on this show, too. I'll invite Gary on next week's show. 6:49 in Chicago. We got a break coming up. It's the Chicagoland Golf Show. I'm Phil Kosin, and you're listening to The Score, Sports Radio 670, CBS Radio in Chicago. Happy Easter Saturday, everybody. It's the Chicagoland Golf Show. Dave, have you ever had pimento and cheese?
No, I haven't. I'm kind of anxious to have it, though, after hearing all about it.
I'm trying to find the recipe here. It's on our website. It's on my blog. Actually, from looking at the software that clocks such things, it's one of the most popular at this time of the year, and it's one of the most popular posts. Here's what you need, folks. You need just some extra sharp white or yellow cheddar. Or, you could probably use Swiss cheese, too. Patch that it's the processed Swiss cheese. And then some pimento, a little bit of mayonnaise, some hot pepper sauce, salt, whole wheat bread if you want to be authentic, some Vidalia onion if you want to be authentic. And you mix it all up and put it on bread and eat it like that. And actually, it's a southern thing, but it's become a master's weekend tradition in this house. Good. And the fact that tomorrow is Easter, we're not having an Easter egg hunt in the yard. We're having a pimento and cheese sandwich hunt. You're invited. You're invited.
I'll be right over. What time are you having it? If it's in the morning, though, I'm here. But in the afternoon?
We invite everybody, but we don't tell them what time.
Oh, I get it. I get it. And when they show up, you're like, oh, you just missed it.
Yeah, well, I don't usually get out of bed until about 10 o'clock in the morning or later on a Sunday, so it wouldn't be before that. It's not exactly at the crack of dawn. But the sandwiches are really good, and if you want to do something that's a little nutty and a little traditional and you're having people over tomorrow for Easter dinner and you're going to watch the Masters on the big screen, why not put some of these sandwiches together? And then you could just say this is in honor of this weekend being the Masters. So there you go. All right, we'll take another break, and we'll come back on the other side with our old friend, another guy that's full of great stories, legendary teaching pro, Emil Esposito. This is Phil Kosin. It's the Chicagoland Golf Show. It's the Score Sports Radio 670, and it's CBS Radio Chicago.